This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society BC, brought to you by Sitka Gear. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Yeti. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Yeti, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems. We are back in the studio for another episode of Talk is Sheep, and today is extra special because we've got the El Jefe, the big kahuna, in the studio. President, the Wild Sheep Society, Greg Rensmaag. Greg, you've been at the helm now for a couple of years, and have to say that under your leadership, the society's been doing quite well. So, and no stranger to the podcast, obviously co-host, and you also run a multi-million-dollar company and have a day job and a family and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, your time is limited. So we're always grateful when you do have the opportunity to jump on the cast, and welcome back to the show. It's great to have you on as a quote guest today.
Oh, thanks for the invite. Yeah, no, it's been a long stretch. Been working out of town this year, so it's my time has been very valuable. So hard to lock me down these days.
Yeah, absolutely, and we sure appreciate it. You know, that's one thing in this not-for-profit world I've noticed is that you get very highly capable people, and you're like, oh, we need more of this guy, and you're like, okay, you know, the Hotel California thing, we kind of get you pitched in and sort of fully engaged on everything, and then it's like, yeah, but everyone else wants my time too, so too bad. But that said, you do give us the lion's share, and we're super grateful for your leadership, Greg. One thing I will say, working for the society, working for you, is having that support and that sort of quiet leadership behind you, and knowing that's having you in the back in my corner is peace of mind. And I know it's speaking to our other staff members that are involved, they feel the same way. So sure appreciate you and the board's work and everything that you guys have done and the leadership you've offered and done for the society. And it's been a great run, and I know that we got lots more great, important work to do.
Oh, those are some kind words. Yeah, we've got a pretty outstanding team at the society. So to put any kind of respect on my name, you're doing it on everybody's. We got a outstanding board, outstanding staff, and a lot of people will show up when you need something. So if you ever need anything, you just shoot me a message like you normally do. I might not answer it right away, but I'll get back to you.
Oh, you are responsive. No question about it. That's for sure. And, and that's the interesting thing in this not-for-profit world. And I don't know if people sort of on the outside looking in see it, but, that's one of the challenges. You have staff members and you got a board. The board's volunteer. Nobody gets paid to do their board member duties. And so it's kind of, you could argue this is an off the side of the desk sort of thing for the board, who's ultimately in charge of running the show, but then you've got your sort of minions like myself that are out there doing the work, and we are being paid to do it. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, and you're sort of at the mercy of your board. If you got a board that's crushing it, you're in good shape, and if not, well, too bad. Suck it up and work around it. So
yeah, I'd imagine there's some difficulties out there for some of the hired positions working for boards, because not all boards get along. So,
yeah,
make things challenging for people like you and Hannah, and just trying to get your jobs done and not getting the support you need to do it or get the right direction you need.
Well, I know one thing I've noticed in the space since I've been involved for the last decade and change is that organizational dysfunction is the biggest killer for conservation. And you've been on boards and effective teams that are just crushing it, and then you're like getting on boards where they're stepping over each other and there's internal fighting, and then that's conflicting with the great work that is needed to be done. So a healthy board of directors is sort of the core for a very sound platform to build off of. And if you don't have that, it's absolute chaos and counterproductive to conservation and the great work that the not-for-profit's trying to do.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's We've seen a few boards over the years from different organizations that they get one person sour in there and they can really change the dynamic of the whole situation. And we've seen some blow up, literally just have to start fresh. So it's good. We got a good team.
Yeah, awesome. So, Greg, one of the things, we've been sort of bringing directors on, and we've started with Joe Appel, and wanted to get you on early, and glad that you had the time today, and appreciate you jumping on here. But just trying to get some perspective on your role and the way you see things. And this isn't prescriptive; we don't sort of have an agenda. But one thing I would love to hear from you is you are our leader. You are the president of the Wild Sheep Society BC, and all crap flows uphill, as we know. So love to get your perspective on sort of, I guess maybe let's just start off with the State of the Union and the way you see things, some of the good things, some of the things on the horizon that you're looking going, I don't like the looks of that. What we've done great for wild sheep, what we could do better, just a rambling sort of diatribe of anything relating to wild sheep and conservation.
Oh, thanks for narrowing that question down.
Yeah, it's my strength, I know.
Yeah. No, it's, where do we even begin? We continue to do, in the words of Mr. Landris, epic shit for wild sheep. Like, it's tough to put, I don't know, we get so much done on the ground with the little bit of like resources that we have, when people from the outside looking in, when they ask how we manage to get certain projects off the ground and do what we do with kind of what we have. And it's always a fun conversation that follows. We just got a group of dedicated individuals that are willing to throw down and put the time in. And we have so many outside supporters too, that just step up for wild sheep in this province. And it's outstanding to see. It's actually hard to believe, even being on the inside, working with everybody. Like, when projects like the burns go off, like that's no small feat. There's a dedicated team to the burns, and they got to deal with all the heavy lifting. We're just kind of the shiny supporters on the outside, but we do have heavy lifters on that team as well. But pulling off the burns, and then even the Seroptes project, and working along the Fraser all these years, it's tough. I don't know. It's tough to put into words for me when we look at what we're able to accomplish with what we have. And I hope, my vision is that we continue to move forward with projects, long as projects keep coming up and we're able to support them. One day it would be nice to struggle to find some projects. That's kind of the goal. It's a bad goal and a good goal. It makes our lives way too easy, but in the future, if we could not have to do so much, that would be kind of the ideal world. That means we've done something right and other people are doing something right as well and stepping up. I don't know. Struggling with the words on the project stuff, but it's inspiring to be a part of it. Our projects committee, even, it's made up of people that aren't on the board. I'd say it's not quite 50-50 board and people from outside, but we got a good number of folks that are dedicated to wild sheep and show up to our meetings and get involved and give their 2 cents. And then they, a lot of them go out hustling for us too, trying to get whatever clubs they're from, whether it's a rod and gun club, they're chasing funds for us to support what we do. And it's neat when some of those folks are in the Lower Mainland, got no sheep around, and their clubs are stepping up in big ways. Like, you look at Abbotsford Fish and Game, how much money have they put on the Fraser over the years? Like, it's outstanding. And they don't have a sheep within, what's Spence's Bridge from Abbotsford, a few hundred kilometers. Like, it's pretty outstanding when folks like that step up. They've man, they've supported the Fraser River project. I couldn't even come up with a number off the top of my head, but they're averaging like 20 a year or something like that.
It's
right now.
20 a year, and I think it's been 4, maybe 5 years now. So that puts them at $100,000, which is, mind-boggling. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we with projects that keep coming up, we'll keep supporting them if we see that they work for us. Sometimes we do get projects that don't really align or don't really work for what we're trying to do. So we don't say no very often. We're more than willing to step in and give support where we can. Outside of projects, over the past few years, we've put a heavy emphasis on just education, making people aware of things like MOVI and, the horn aging education. We've been beating that around the province as best we can. And we've got more to come. We got Mike Bridger coming up soon, or is it on a webinar, or is it Bridger doing it?
Yeah, we're just trying to work. We're working through that right now. We've got a date set, but we haven't got confirmation from the government. There's some internal machinations there, I'll say that. But we've asked Mike to come on, and we're waiting on approval. So fingers crossed that all comes together. But yeah.
And if we don't, we'll just hammer everybody with the video we made last year. If you haven't seen it, you can find links on our socials. It's on our YouTube. It's an incredible horn aging video that we did with Bridger that, I don't know, I would want to say it's probably the best one that I've seen or been a part of. He nailed it. We even got a merch line, some beer out of it. Even the whiskey came in after it too. So you got to figure out what that's all about. But there's a good saying in there. The 9 is the new 8 came from a horn aging video. With the education, we've been engaging with all walks of life, right down to 4-H. Just trying to educate people on the dangers of what sheep are going through, the dangers of domestic sheep and wild sheep habitat. It's a struggle that we all go through. A lot of the domestic farmers do support us when it comes to checking their sheep for MOVI when they're share habitat, which is always nice. And there's also folks out there that don't want anything to do with us when it comes to things like that, but there's people out there that are dedicated to educating those folks, and we're not the big bad boogeyman. We're just trying to do what's best for wildlife in those areas. And then even outside of the education stuff, our membership continues to grow. We've crossed that 1,000 life member threshold. We're pushing 1,800 members total. And then when you say that means more than half of our membership is life members, which is, I'd say that's pretty impressive with such a small number, and we're able to have that many folks believe in what we're doing and sign up for that life membership. And then how many monarchs do we have above life? That's not a small number either. There's a few folks that are monarchs. Number off the top of my head I can't quote because I'm terrible at that, but I'm sure
it's a couple hundred, give or take. Yeah. One more than there was 2 days ago. We had a guy yesterday sign up as a life and a silver monarch, so pretty heavy dedication. He's coming sheep hunting in British Columbia, and it's pretty sweet to see that level of commitment. Someone stepping up, somebody that wants to support the resource and give back, and pretty cool.
See, that should be a rule. If you're going to come and enjoy our resource, you should just monarch up right away.
It is cool when guys do that. I've seen that before with some guys coming up on their, doing a guided hunt in British Columbia, and this gentleman, Nate's his name. I won't say his last name out of respect, but for his privacy. But pretty cool that he stepped up, and he's super passionate. think he's actually got 2 hunts planned in BC this year, and just awesome to see. And really, really cool. Obviously, I'm a little biased. Our members are pretty epic.
Yeah, it's neat. Just speak on the, I don't know how you'd word it, the broadness of our membership. Like when we go down to Reno and you've got people from all walks of life, different parts of the world, not just North America, that are members. It's neat that we have that outreach, and there's people from literally around the world that are believing in what we do, and we kind of owe it to everybody to do the best we can and work as hard as we can. So we have a few sheep in this province that it doesn't take much to almost wipe them out, as we've seen. When the Fraser went from a few thousand sheep down to 800 in a matter of a few short years. It's I think we owe it to people to be as good as Kyle Stelter. So,
Greg, I want to dive into that a little bit, and how do I say this? I guess the way I want to make sure it comes across is one of positivity and gratitude, and I'm not taking shots at anyone, and that we have a huge responsibility. Where I'm going with it is that I've been guilty in the past of just taking for granted what we have here in British Columbia, and we have something pretty special. We have and people look back at the good old days, and I get that for sure, like 100%. I'm not going to argue that point, but what I am saying is that we've got 4 subspecies of wild sheep in the province. Nobody has that. Nobody has stone sheep. Nobody has all 4 subspecies, and I think that it's something that I've been guilty of it, so I'll assume some other people are. And based on comments I've heard in the past, I think we could argue that maybe some people feel the same way, is that sometimes you take things for granted. And I think we're pretty privileged. We're pretty fortunate. But with this opportunity comes responsibility. And we have this massive amount of responsibility to look after these. So we've got a pretty daunting task. We've sort of, quote, mandated ourselves as the keepers of these sheep, in the sense that that's our mission. That's why we exist. That's our why as the Wild Sheep Society BC. But it's a huge freaking responsibility, and we've got a big job ahead of us. But it's also one that we should cherish and be grateful for, but also recognize that with that gratitude and that opportunity comes responsibility.
Yeah, no, definitely. When you look at the 4 subspecies of sheep, like, we just need some deserts to wander a little bit north, and but you go right to the top of the province, and you got dolls hanging out, and from the top, right almost halfway down, there's stones, and you start getting into bighorns and the Rockies and Callies, and every corner of the province has something for sheep. And we do have a daunting task when you frame it like that. It's every part of the province is different. We have such a different landscape across the province. All the challenges that we face are completely different too. Like, you look at, even blue tongue, caused by dryness and wind blowing that into our province, and wiping out how many sheep overnight, basically. And we don't fully understand. Like, we've got a grasp on Movie, but it spreads, and sometimes we don't see what caused it, and we know what causes it. And that's the scary part, is, okay, why are these bighorns sick all of a sudden? Like, there's no domestic producers in this area, and but we do also know that we have wandering sheep. I kind of threw that question at Chris Proctor the other night on the webinar. We know we got sheep that'll travel hundreds of kilometers and cross all sorts of different landscapes through different bands. And if they're carrying it's a scary thought when they can go from Kamloops Lake all the way to Lillooet back and even further. It's frightening, a frightening world we live in for our wildlife, and wild sheep kind of get overlooked because if you drive through an area that has wild sheep, odds are you're going to see them, and that's what a lot of people kind of focus on is when they're driving the Fraser Canyon, they see sheep all the time, and that's just one area that just happens to be doing great and lives on the side of the highway, so you're going to see them. Or people in Kamloops where they're running around town, right going to the golf course, running on the highway, on the banks of the lake, or along the Thompson River. It's tough to educate some folks on how bad the sheep are actually doing when they can just open their door and they're sitting there eating there in their garden in certain spots. But I could promise everyone that's not how it goes for 90% of our sheep are living a different life than those ones, and you're not gonna see them on the side of the road.
Yeah, good point. And and that's the thing is we have this iconic resource. We have tens of thousands of wild sheep, over 20,000 wild sheep in the province, and so many people don't even have how many British Columbians. I bet you if you ask the average British Columbia, have you ever heard of a stone sheep? Most people have never even heard of them, let alone obviously never seen them. So,
and that's surprising. Even if you deal with lifelong hunters, they had no idea we have different sheep because they don't hunt them. They're just like, oh, yeah, what's that? And I'm guilty of it. I knew we had sheep. I had no idea there was problems. And it was going to Kamloops one year and it was like sitting and listening to all the regional bios give updates and talk about the problems sheep are having. It's like, oh, all right, I had no idea. And that's it's kind of when I really joined, other than your coaxing of making me do a calendar when I pitched an idea to you. It all started from there.
Don't come to me with an idea because you're going to get tasked with it. Yeah. Funny. What's concerning for you? Like you talked a little bit about Moby. What's on the horizon? What's sort of out there in front of you that keeps you up at night as the big boss?
People, no. Yeah, Movy's a big one. That one's scary. Like we're doing all that work on the Fraser, and it's working from what we can see so far, but it doesn't take much to screw up that whole scenario anywhere in the province. It takes one sick domestic sheep and one big ram jumping over the fence and hanging out with them, and it can spiral right from there. Yeah, Movy's got me a lot of the times. Predators are a big problem, and I like to try to educate folks when we talk predators. They do a lot more damage than people seem to think. Like you get a cougar with kittens, and they're just picking off a herd, living in one spot, chasing them around. We see it quite often during lambing season. Some of the best ways to find fresh lambs in this province is look up in the air and see where the eagles are circling. Like the eagles they do, I don't know if they'd be number one, but they're definitely in like the top 3 or 4 for doing damage to wild sheep. Coyotes too, they're smarter than we like to give them credit for. I've watched them separate herds and split them up. Well, they're in the grass and you can't see them. You can only hear the coyotes, and you got sheep running around on the side of the road panicking, and you got them up in the mountain panicking. And it's the coyotes. Coyotes do a fair bit of damage. Predators are a frightening one for me because, there's not a lot of people that actually take the time and go out there and, focus in on predators. There's a lot of people out there that, if the predator comes by, they're opportunistic, but they're not out there actually targeting them. And then landscape, you put that probably, that's in, I don't even know if you can compare it to the others. They're all kind of pretty equal. Like, we're doing burns, we're doing brushing. Obviously, we have support of other people, but I'm not going to mention all of them because I just get into muddy waters on here. But, if the sheep don't have a good habitat and they don't have good escape routes and they don't have good sight lines, like that's a big problem. And, comes to teach us how important things like fire are, and we can't let those landscapes overgrow. And we're seeing it happen. We continue to put out fires because it's what we do. But it does create some issues for wild sheep when they can't see predators coming. They rely on being able to see them. We see the difference when we do brush cut and clear out forests to give them that safety net of being able to see animals coming and knowing what's ahead of them. Because I wouldn't put sheep as the smartest when they're not on the rocks. They when they get down into the bush, and if that bush is overgrown, they're wandering around blindly. And I know I don't like to do that, even if I got a gun on my shoulder. So I can only imagine what it's like for them. It's puts them in a scenario that's just not good. That's a loaded question though, Kyle. Those are kind of my big three that keep me up at night. Not just Moby, disease in general. And then predators and landscape they're all issues.
Yeah, well said. Greg, let's peel back a little bit on your sort of coming to the conservation space. And I remember you were kind of on the hunt. You obviously were interested in getting involved in conservation and doing more and doing your part. And I remember you'd reached out to a few other groups that you thought maybe you were interested in, and then for whatever reason that didn't sort of come to fruition. And we got lucky, damn lucky. And you started getting behind the society. So maybe talk a little bit about your, I guess, growing up, what it was like, and sort of your interest in hunting and conservation, then you come into the conservation space.
Oh, right. It's a lifelong hunter, born and raised into it. It was what we looked forward to, was getting to go hunting with Dad. 10 years old was a big deal for us. You go out and get your hunting license, and you get your first gun and part of the team. But doesn't really speak on conservation. But no, when it time to get into, I found myself having more time, and kids were getting a little bit older, so they weren't as much of a time consumption. Or a burden. But I didn't start by reaching out to different organizations. I actually went to just meetings wherever I could, kind of see. There's a few different orgs that had public meetings in the Lower Mainland, or even seminars or chats, and those were eye openers. You can see who you kind of wanted to deal with that might have fit what was going on in my head anyways, or someone that I'd want to dedicate time to. There was a couple that I did throw my name out there, kind of almost got blown off, but I was like, oh, okay, that's whatever. I was offering help, and I wasn't even offering it to join boards or anything, just volunteer, help where I can. And then how how did we start with you guys, or with us, however we want to word that? Because it was, and I did some volunteering, did a couple of the outdoor shows in Abbotsford at the time. Then like I think I went to the show first in Kamloops, and then that's when I really got a hold of, oh boy, these sheep are in trouble, and I had no idea. I was just blind to how many issues they face, and that they're kind of almost forgotten. And I do blame, honestly, not the people that don't hunt them, but the people that just see them on the side of the highway, and you see them, they got to be doing good. But I walked away from Kamloops. Man, I felt it. It was weird. It was, I felt like this was the place I wanted to be, the place I wanted to give time and volunteer. And everybody I met from the board it was like you were family, and nobody actually knew me at that time. And the chance came to throw my name in the hat to get on the board. And I can't remember. I don't even think there was a vote for that time. I think there was only enough people that put their name in the hat got on the board that year.
Is that right? It was an election, but there was only 6 spots and six people with their name.
Yeah, and there was a couple people that stepped down, and it was a gimme, and I didn't know it was a gimme going into it. But, so you guys got me on the board. And it was cool. And actually getting involved, even just in the first couple of board meetings, it was more of an eye opener of the troubles that we are fighting currently. And a nice thing about that is when you're in those board meetings, there's open books. There's people, like, we all sign our NDA basically when we become a director, and you get to hear more things than what's actually going on, and you get guys' real emotions behind it. And we got some passionate individuals that drag you into the family, and once you're in, you can't leave. So even if you get voted out, you're still part of the family, whether you like it or not. So, and then did a year or so as a director, and then jumped into that secretary role. And then we were sitting in Dawson Creek, and Corey took me out for breakfast the one morning and kind of let me know he wasn't planning on renewing. And then I put my name in the hat for the president role. And here we are. I'm halfway through my third year as president. So we'll see how many more years you guys keep me in that spot. But I'll stay as long as you let me.
That's awesome. So you grew up, did you grow up in the Lower Mainland? Did you spend your whole, and then talk a little bit about, I guess, like that legacy where, like, you got introduced to hunting at a young age, and I know that now your kids are involved, your whole family's involved, obviously, but certainly both your son and daughter are involved in that. Talk a little bit about legacy and, that hunting heritage, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, no, it's that's a big part of who I am, who we are. My grandparents moved here from Holland. My grandpa was a hunter. The last actual picture of him alive is him with a big bull moose in the caribou. And then that was 10 days later he died at work. And he didn't get too much time with my dad. My dad was 10 when he passed. But he instilled, in that short time, the hunting and fishing and just getting out there and enjoying the land. And my dad put that into my brother, myself, and my sister loved fishing. And we had all our long weekends were spent fishing or hunting. Obviously, he still got his alone time away from the kids for hunting, but we all looked forward to our first big moose trip. We would go. That was kind of our 13th birthday year. Is you got to go on the moose trip for 2 weeks, and that was it was one thing we definitely we looked forward to. A lot of lessons were learned in the bush, especially the people we were surrounded by. Like my dad was one of the younger guys in the group, so we got to experience all different knowledges from my uncles and people that I call my uncles who aren't blood, but they've been there my whole life. We learned mostly moose hunting and deer hunting, even up until who would that have been? Brooklyn was born. I'd never shot at anything else other than a mule deer and a moose in my life. We never chased anything else. And then around 2012, we opened that door to other animals. But and then my dad, I feel like he did the best that he knew how to leave an impression on my brother and I. And we're both doing the same thing with our children. Like my brother's kids are into hunting, my kids are into hunting. I'm even getting bugged today on why we're not out bear hunting. But if it's kind of neat for the conservation aspect. Something as simple as one of Connor's first bear hunts. It was actually a decent black bear with nothing to say no to, and he just goes, nope, it's not old enough, it's not big enough. And he was 10 years old. It's like, oh, I must have done something right along the way here. But and then even the other day he was out with his grandpa, they were fishing, they seen an okay bear, and the same thing, he's like, no, it wasn't big enough or old enough for me. So I think that means I'm doing something right when it comes to passing on the legacy of what I believe in, and they'll be better than me, and that's all I can hope for, is that I did something right and they choose to be better. And just they keep learning as they grow. My daughter's right into it as well, and she got her first deer last year, and might even got emotional during that time. But it's it's cool to be able to pass on what I do, what we do to the kids, and they're going for it. They're definitely seem to be. I'd say they're going to be better than me in no time. That's all I can hope for.
That's pretty epic, buddy. Great legacy to leave behind for sure. And it's interesting. I just did a podcast with Joe as well, and like it's Joe Pellin, and inspiring that next generation of hunters and conservationists is pretty critical, pretty paramount to what we do. Because if there's no one coming behind us with that sort of passion to keep this train on the tracks, I don't know where we end up. It's a pretty grim future. So.
Yeah, the youth are the future, and if we don't teach them right, or what we think is right, that, like you say, the train derails, and it doesn't take much to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what's on the horizon? So you're the big boss, and we've got all kinds of stuff. I know there's been we made some announcements. We've got a new event in Prince George coming up. Sort of what's on the horizon? What's out there? What are we keeping our eyes focused on? Eye on the prize in the future.
Oh man, thanks for that one. A lot of it's what I've mentioned. Education. We just talked youth education for youth and the adults too. Like there's figuring out how to get our message across that works. You know, we do okay on social media and our e-blasts, but there's a lot of people that aren't involved in that, and it'd be good if we could figure out a good way to educate outside our circle. You know, we kind of use one campfire, but that's broad. That covers all sorts of everything. But to get into the wild sheep world with people outside our circle, like, you know, our outdoor shows that we go to, they're a good education piece. You know, it's usually you suck somebody in with paying $5 and they can win a cooler or something. But that's when you get a good chance to talk to them. Mm-hmm. Or when you get the kids. The kids are always my favorite when we're at the shows because they want to listen. They do want to learn. And once you start talking about wildlife, a lot of the times that's when you got some attention. Education is, man, it's so important, even to the hunters too, when it comes down to things like horn aging. It's disgusting sometimes how many illegal rams get shot, and most of that just boils down to education. I'd say, sure, you're going to have the odd honest accident that happens with everything, but there's, you know, shooting a short sheep or a young sheep there's no real excuse for that. Like I get you can get a bad angle from your scope or your spotting scope when you're watching these animals, but that just means you got to watch them longer and get the right angles and be confident. And, you know, hopefully you got a partner with you and you can both confirm it's good before someone pulls that trigger. Our projects works. Like, yeah, if we can continue, we're almost done the Fraser. We're getting close. We got some sheep that just don't need to be where they need to be at the right time of year that we can't catch. We've been burned 3 or 4 years now trying to catch the one herd. It's usually just boiling down to snow, and the snow levels aren't right to keep them where we need to keep them so we can get them. And man, if the Fraser, like, obviously there'll be years to follow up, but we're getting close. Like that project is it's a big goal of mine. It's a big goal of the society. It's a big goal of all the different organizations and companies that step up and support it. And we're nearing a point where it's monitoring, not having to fly around and catch them, and which will be good. Be nice to be in just the monitoring stage of that project in the next couple of years. Right now it's showing success, so it's been, that project's been going on since I joined the board. So it was I've spent a lot of time on the Fraser, whether it's during our counts or not, just watching them, checking in on them. They're our babies. And then a lot of our other projects, like the Seroptes project, that can change the game for a lot of people if we lock that in and become successful in there. It's a lot of teams involved in that one, and it's exciting to see the updates. You know, and it gives a unique opportunity for people too to actually go and get their hands on sheep. We got to capture them once a month and check them and test them, and you know, we've got some dedicated folks in the Okanagan. You're breathing heavy into the mic, buddy.
Sorry.
It's very, very distracting. But we got some dedicated people down in Penticton that go and get their hands on, and you know, guys like Peter and some of his helpers and others from the band that he's working with, they're there every day. They're there every day, feeding the sheep, making sure they're good, watering them, checking in on them. You know, the lambing season's around. That brings all sorts of interesting things around the fence and trying to get under the fence to get at lambs. So then the burns, I kind of just naming our big three right now as I go, but they're pretty critical things for the future. The burns, if we can't get them off every year, and that's, it all relies on burn windows and when it's safe to burn, and you get last minute notification that it's safe to burn. So it does make it a struggle, and we have, I think this year we got some off, but we had to shift gears and move from what we were planning on burning to others, just based on climate and the landscape at the time. Membership, like our membership's been growing, and I'd love to see that trend continuing to go up. We have the youth half curl life memberships, and that's been a neat program, is more focus on just getting the kids involved. And like I said earlier, more than half our memberships lives, and then that doesn't say, like, life members and monarch members are dedicated, and the youth half curls, they're dedicated. But even our yearly folks, like, sometimes that's all people could afford to do, and do it when they can. And we appreciate all our members. And if we can continue to get the membership numbers up, it helps even work on the education piece, and then we can reach out to more folks, and then maybe they're new to this circle, and they can pass on to their friends their knowledge and what we do. That's kind of my big ones. Like you mentioned, we have Prince George happening next year, which is going to be cool. I might be biased because I live here now, but hopefully I'm not working during that time. But it'll be neat. It's a neat space for another event for us. We have everything around. We have an international airport not far. We're the center. Everybody basically travels through here to go sheep hunting, so it's kind of neat that way. And then our membership in the Prince George and surrounding areas, I would say, is our biggest. It's in the top 5 areas. I think it might be the biggest population if you include the towns within like an hour of here. But that'll be neat getting off a new event. We got a lot of dedicated supporters. This was led mainly by supporters saying, "Hey, get your acts together. We want something here." And we'll get that that going. It's going to be a little bit later than other events, which should be all right. Bear hunting opens up around the same time too, so come up here and do a little bear hunting. And then I just hope we continue with Penticton. Like that show, if you haven't been to Penticton, you need to go, and you need to buy your tickets early. Don't wait on the tickets. Every single year, that show, whether it was Penticton and then Kamloops, that show is, we get a lot of people that think we just owe them tickets, and unfortunately that's not how selling tickets work. So I'll continue to, unfortunately, have to be mean to people. Same with you, Kyle. You do a great job of being mean to people. But we sell the tickets. We can't just give tickets away, and you can't wait till 2 days before and change your mind, because those tickets aren't going to be there. Every year there's phone calls. Hey, I didn't get my ticket. You guys got to give me one. It's like, oh no, that's not how this works. We're not going to do that, unfortunately. We would love to, but there are rules to the game.
Especially when it's foreseeable, right? It's been selling out now for half a decade plus, so it's pretty straightforward. Just buy your tickets when they open up. It's simple.
Yeah. It's always blows my mind how many people just, I get you forgot, but we can't give you tickets. We don't have tickets to give. And then just back to projects. Just want to continue to grow on our projects. We've got a lot of sheep in the north, and we don't really get to do anything with sheep in the north. We get the odd counts and we do the burns, but there's still a lot more sheep that just don't have any love, really, that we can land the projects that we want to. And I'm sure it's coming. There's been a lot more chatter lately of working with different groups and making things happen, but until things actually happen, it'd be nice to build on relationships and lock in some projects for stones and dolls. And dolls would be cool because we've never done anything for them here.
Mm-hmm.
So get me out there on a count.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. What are we missing? Anything that you want to share, just from your perspective as the El Presidente with our membership? Or
I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. It's the membership. We need you. It's your guys' volunteer hours are, and no matter how little you think your volunteer hours are, whether it's helping out a day at a show, going to a count, putting away chairs at an event, every little thing that volunteers do mean the world to us. As we've been in the position where we don't have the right amount of volunteers, and it makes things challenging. There's been events where we've been a little bit shy, and it puts a lot of work on the directors who are already volunteering, 3, 4, 5 days at that point at those events. And the counts, a lot of people don't think the counts do much, but I can promise you the counts do help. If you get out into the field, you bring your family, bring your dog, do whatever. We're there for the early identifiers of Movi being back. That's on places like the Fraser, or even when we're doing our Spencis Bridge counts, we can see if something's changed, and we'll be able to identify, and then we can bring it to the bios and be like, hey, we noticed this. This isn't right. This isn't how it normally is in this one area. Usually there's a ton of sheep. We're not seeing lambs. The wild sheep family, we love your support. We need your support, and just keep showing up. And if there's some people listening that want to show up, do it. Let us know. It's not that hard. We have a volunteer tab even on our website where you can get yourself on a call list for projects. And then most of us too, most of the directors, or even all the directors, if you reach out to them, they can help you out too. If it's a friend of yours or just someone you follow on social media, shoot them a message. Half our volunteers come from just getting a message. So doesn't take much to step up. And, we get that certain times a year, things don't work for your schedule, but we'd sure love it if you found one that did work for your schedule.
Well said. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we've got a peek under the hood of El Presidente, our fearless leader, and sure appreciate everything that you do, Greg. You've been a guiding force for our board and our organization, and we're certainly grateful. And so many things, you think, oh, well, it's the president, he's busy, signing the big checks and hiring and firing, but it's the little things too, the daily social media posts, and there's a lot of work in the trenches that you do. And of course, we have a volunteer-driven organization, so there's no job too small or too big that you've been tasked with at times, and certainly grateful for everything that you have done and continue to do for us. Thank you so much. So.
Man, that was nice. No problem.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Yeah, it's like Chris Barker always says that the Wild Sheep Society is like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never get out. So, yeah.
I believe it now.
Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much, and appreciate you being on the podcast today. And not that you're any stranger to it, but it's good to have you on sort of as our quote guest. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.